All right. I ain't gonna lie. I'm gonna keep it a honey. Welcome to the Jeremiah Gunn Show. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Please send in your comments, questions, call me. This is the answer, man. Let's come, let us reason together. You're listening to CSN, the Common Sense Network, in honor of that little book, The Pen That Was Mightier Than the Sword, that birthed the greatest civilization in the history of women. I'd say look it up, but we can't. It's 1984. And he won't let you look it up, even though Elon Musk tried his best to fix it. It's all, anyway, it won't work. So I'll tell you how. If you keep listening, I'll tell you how to look it up. This program is dedicated to Charlie Kirk, the great prophet, martyr, patron saint of America, the second real Christian martyr in our centuries. God bless him. Prophets, not people. Prophet. Prophets, not people. We need prophets way more than we need people. We need prophets way more than we need people. Okay? Which would you rather have, a guide or the blind leading the blind? A demagogue responding to the polls of the sheeple, of the lotus eaters, or someone who can tell you where we're going and why. Simon Sinek, start with why. Anyway, this is the ISI Network, Resistance Radio. Now please listen to this important message. The long sobs of autumn, the long sobs of violins of autumn, wound my heart with a monotonous languor. The long sobs of violins of autumn wound my heart with a monotonous languor. That goes out to all you men, and I call you men because you are men. You are strong. You have resisted and overcome the evil one. And I'm talking to you men, not boys, not man boys, not men that are women or women that are men. I'm just talking to you because I'm talking to you because you're not watching The View. And if you're watching The View, unfortunately, most of the listeners to podcasts are men. I know there's people trying to change that, but that's just kind of the reality. So it's on you men to get this country turned around. You're the ones who gave it birth. You're the ones who kept it going, who saved it, who pulled it out of the fire. So let's do it. Let's do it again. You know what to do. You've heard the Resistance Radio call we just gave. We're broadcasting from behind enemy lines in the Confederate States of America, the blue ones, where they do not love the Constitution. They hate this country. Even though they swore an oath to protect and defend the Constitution, not what they think it is in their head, but what it is. Against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Everybody takes an oath. I took it. Every police person, ICE agent, Congress, C-O-N, gress. It's a compound word. It's con, like in con artist or convict, and gress as in regress instead of progress, or hopeless. Anyway, here's an important safety tip. My voice, my nickname when I played basketball was Lurch, and when I signed up for the blood bank many, many years ago to give blood on a regular basis, to donate blood, they asked me what my nickname was, and I said it was Lurch. And so they put that down. So now I get phone calls and emails and voice messages for Lurch. It's time to give blood again, so you rang. Anyway, if my voice is too slow, please speed it up. This is for your safety, security, and convenience. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Go ahead and speed it up. I don't want to do it on this end because, maybe you like it like this. But if it's mellifluous, great. If it's monotonous, not so good. If it's soothing, nice. If it's sleep-inducing, not good. Okay? So go ahead and, unless you want it, use it to go to sleep, go ahead. But otherwise, anyway, you can go on your settings and set it at 1.25, 1.5, whatever you want, and speed it up and enjoy it. I don't want to take your time. I don't want to take 1 minute more than is necessary. but it is necessary that we talk. Come, let us reason together. I want to hear from you. I want to hear what's bothering you. Okay? And now, please rise for our international anthem. It is Black History Month here in our part of the world, and that BHM, Black History Month. So here is one of the greatest, the true genius, leading us in our international anthem. Wow. Who can argue with that? What a great man, what a genius. You know, he wasn't blind when he was singing that song. Those words are so beautiful. For heroes proved and liberating strife, who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. This was true in 1776. They pledged their lives, their fortunes, doesn't mean money, and their sacred honor. It was sacred. Honor was sacred back then. They pledged their lives, fortunes, and sacred honor. They had everything to lose, including at the end of the rope, as Ben Franklin said, we're going to all hang together or we're going to hang separately. And, you know, they had everything to lose and only one thing to gain, sacred honor. They would rather die on their feet than live on their knees, which is kind of what's being pushed on us right now today. So anyway, greetings people of Earth, for wherever you are, from the Gulf of America to Greenland, soon to be Northeast Virginia, to the Gulf of Arabia. Greetings to you. Huiamora, akamana henis, by a donkey. Shnor havor, shnor hagalam. Kvala, davisenya, jenkuye. Salam, shokran, marasalama. Toda rabba, emet matovut mana yem shevet hakim gam yade. Salino Mubarak. Salino Mubarak. Barak Hamani. Reza Shah Rohit Shah. Plus c'est chance, plus c'est la même chose. Je suis une fille. Bonjour. Willkommen. Bienvenue. Sie kann's mir gestohlen bleiben. Die letzten Fotos sind nicht so gut ausgefallen. Bože sakreni Amerika. Это мой друг, товарищ. Как дела, как поживаете? Bumalikna ako. Hindi ko ginawa. Kuwag mo paagong babarelin. Yash kulavaya hashatet lenumstegt. Kamun. Tot gedag. Dankjewel. Tot ziens. Amma se ganaro. Bienvenido. En la tierra, this is most important. Para continuar en español, oprime el 6. En la tierra del ciego, el tuerto es rey. Yo vivo en la tierra del ciego. El tuerto es rey. Welcome. Greetings to you in peace and love and truth. No truth, no peace, no love. No justice, no peace. No truth, no love, no peace, no justice, no nothing. This is Professor Jeremiah Gunn, Dr. No, K-N-O-W, your truth teller, your humble servant. I'm an undocumented expert on literally everything. I'm your search engine, your fact checker, inviting you to question authority. Ask me anything. Hello, my name is Jeremiah Gunn. You killed my country. Prepare to die, DEI. Prepare to die, DEI. So what are you going to talk about right now? There's so much to talk about. I guess current events is you can dial all around anywhere you want, from the radio to the internet to TV, and you can find somebody who's going to give a take on State of the Union. State of the Union was last night, so that's as good a topic as any. I don't know if you saw it, but it's pretty, really very sad. It's kind of an underscore of what we're at. It's an underscore of where we're at. It's a moment in time. And what you saw, if you watched it, or if you saw clips of it, is you saw the fact that half of this country, at least in terms of the representation, they're enemies. They're enemies of the country. And don't say that. And don't pretend like we're in a different situation than we really are. We're in a civil war. We're in a civil war that never ended because of the Democrats. They started it. They tried to start it way before. They've basically been the enemies of America since our inception, since our birth. Okay, cradle to grave. They're pushing us into the grave, and excuse me, I have to get some water. So, what did you see when you saw this? Well, there's something I didn't see this, but somebody showed it later, and maybe it was a spoof, maybe it was a repeat performance of what happened last time. But there's this congressman from Texas. He looks like Cro-Magnon, looks like a Neanderthal. And last time he stood up and yelled and shook his cane at Trump. And they escorted him out, finally. I mean, it's, I hope they took him over, never to be seen in Congress again. I hope they took him to the Museum of Man so they could put him in there as a Neanderthal Cro-Magnon dummy. Maybe prop him up with his cane by putting one end where his brain is. But that would save him a lot of money, of our taxpayer money, since they're shutting down the government anyway. Maybe Smithsonian or something. But, he's not the first guy to shake a cane in the Senate. But he's not not the only Democrat. But the two times that did happen was Democrats. One of them was from Mississippi, a Democrat named, I think, Preston Brooks. And there was a congressman from Massachusetts named Charles Sumner. He was an abolitionist, a radical Republican, the ones who wanted to free the slaves. The Democrats' slaves. The Democrats didn't want that. They still don't. They're fighting today for slavery. One book that describes it is Uncle Sam's Plantation. But Mark Levin, who's a fantastic, brilliant constitutional expert, thinker, he has a podcast, but he talks about, he wrote a book. One of his most recent books is The Democrat Party Hates America. I mean, you can't say any more than that. Another author wrote a book called Demonic, which was about mob mentality. But basically, they're the party of the French Revolution. They're the party of women, femocrats. Most of them are sitting there, with their white dress on, and they are. Mark Levin wrote great books. One of them is called Ameritopia, and I mean, you can't deny it. Just read it. Just read it. Read demonic. There's no denying it. It's the question is whether you'll deny the person. That's all they got is ad hominems. That's all they got. But I guess they took this guy out, and he the second coming of Preston Brooks, racist Democrat of white privilege. They keep working for the man. But this Preston Brooks, he beat Charles Sumner, the Republican, the radical Republican. He wasn't a rhino. He actually made a commitment to the Constitution and to his fellow man and the Declaration of Independence. And he beat Charles Sumner. Preston Brooks beat him so badly that he was never really the same. He returned us to public service, but it wasn't really good. I think Preston Brooks went in the Confederate Army, the Democrat Army, and fought. I hope he got what he deserved, but I don't know. I'm not going to follow him that much. But here's a guy from Texas, I think, unimaginably. This Congress man shaking his cane and screaming at Trump. And then, after that died down, Ilhan Omar, who I do not understand why she's not in Somalia. America, love it or leave it. But I keep hearing these things that she married her brother, she falsified her immigration docs, and she's not just here, she's in Congress. And there's other stories about her being a scam, part of that fraud. Thank God he talked about fraud last night. Trump, he explained it. And I don't really care if you don't like Trump's bombast or his, weaving storytelling and things like that. You don't need to damn him with faint praise. Everybody else is doing that already. Everybody else is doing that in the media, But these people sitting there, they didn't stand up for anything. And sitting next to Ilhan Omar, she's wearing a hijab, she's got this, what was her name, Tariq Aziz or something like that. She's from Michigan. She's wearing a giant button that says F ICE. These women, these feminazis, these losers, these horrible, horrible people, the enemies of our country, they're sitting there with a button that says F ICE, not F, the whole word. And they love it. Man, they love those F-bombs. Don't they love to get their whistle and go out and scream? And like that comedian said online, they're wearing their Lululemons or whatever they're called, and they just came from Zumba and they're screaming at somebody. It used to be in the parking lot of Home Depot. Now it's right in front of your house. And federal officers just trying to do their job. They're doing the job Americans won't do. And they're screaming, they're attacking them, they're blowing whistles at them. And, there's a saying, he who stands for nothing. Oh, that lady with the F ICE button on her, in Congress? In Congress? So, how does that work? What's Mike Johnson doing sitting there? I don't know if he's in charge or Thune, but what are they doing? What are they doing? Just allowing? You don't allow that at work. You don't allow that at school. You don't allow that in your HOA. But here she's sitting there in Congress with a treasonous button. It's treason. The Constitution it's what I think it is this time of the month. It's what I feel that it is. It's a thing. It's a real thing. It's the thing that they pledged their lives, their fortunes, their sacred honor for. And these women are sitting there, these women like Hakeem Jeffries and Schmuck Fumer and Nadler and God, at least, the women that are on the Supreme Court like Benedict Roberts, and I noticed the other ones weren't there. I think Roseanne Barrio was there. There was just 4 of them, but they're just Ilhan Omar keeps screaming. So civil rights, they drag out the Cro-Magnon, the differently abled. Maybe that's what DEI stands for, differently enabled imbecile. But he just, she's screaming and yelling at Trump. I mean, I don't know. I guess this is just, when you let things go and you let crime run rampant, you let crime just run rampant and don't do anything. Well, in fact, not only don't do anything, but cry about defunding the police. You don't, if you're going to defund the police, go ahead, but give me back my money that we paid for them, because we did pay for them, okay? And if they're going to hide out because the mayor said so, or the mayor's going to tell them, don't do your job. I don't know. That's a whole nother show. I don't know what's wrong with police. First responders, first rollovers. I mean, what are they? What are they doing? They swore an oath too. Some of them twice. Once for the military, once for the police. But the mayor, some feminist female mayor like Fry, or like the one in Chicago, or like Tampon Tim, a governor, or nuisance. He tells them to stand down, and they do. The first thing they should do is arrest him when he tells them to stand down. This isn't, but if you're going to defund him or castrate him, then give me back the money that we paid for him. That's a lot of money to pay. Just give me back the amount that they used to paint on the side of the door to protect and to serve. I'll take it as something. But so this woman who comes from Joe Biden's two-state solution, Minnesota and Michigan, the Tariq Aziz, she's from Michigan. She's got the F-bomb ice on it. She's screaming, sitting right next to Ilhan Omar. She's screaming at, they're both screaming at him. Man, if there's ugly is as ugly does. I've told you, I think Ilhan Omar is very pretty, but kind of so what? The good book says a beautiful woman without any discernment, any discretion is like a gold ring in a pig's snout. And how appropriate for a Islamo-Nazi like her like those two to be referenced compared to a pig. But in her state, Michigan, Tariq Aziz's state, she's screaming. They're screaming death to America. Even Bill Maher, that Femocrat, Bill Maher, he's sniveling about how, don't you think we've crossed a line if we're yelling death to America in Michigan? Okay, so these, how did those two get there? But Ilhan Omar, I mean, why isn't she like hiding out? She's broken the law with the fraud, but that's after breaking the law to get here, and they put her in because Tampon Timmy changes Minnesota into Mogadishu. What does Gad Saad call that? Suicidal empathy. Suicidal empathy. You're gonna make this country into the one you fled. Okay? Does the Statue of Liberty enlightening the world, the new Colossus, does it say on it, does that poem say, give me your enemies, waving their own flags and trying to destroy the country? The barbarians aren't at the gate, they're in the House of Representatives. And they've been, you open the door to this kind of thing. So Trump did something really brilliant. So why isn't Ilhan Omar, why isn't she hiding out? Worried that ICE is going to get her next, or even the police or the FBI. Pam Bondi, Attention, attention, Kash Patel. Attention, Kash Patel and Pam Blondie. If Trump told you not to do anything about anything, please, except go to the Olympics, please wink or signal, give us some kind of a safe word so we can understand. I don't understand. Trump can get up there and just tell it like it is, and they do nothing except stand up and clap. Their job, they're like over a year past their start date. Do you remember Lock Her Up? Do you remember Lock Her Up? It was about how Larry Rotten Klingon. That's what it was. And has she been locked up? No, I think last I heard, she and Slick Willie were invited to, through a subpoena or something, to talk to Congress, maybe to just ask for their autograph, but if they're going to go after him for a soundbite. And they said, no thanks, no thanks. But Trump gets arrested, he gets his house ransacked by armed SWAT teams. He gets sued, he has to pay. Fortunately, he can sue back. That's the only justice we have today. But these Femocrats who got there through DEI, thank God he said, we've ended DEI. I mean, could you imagine a president having the guts to say that and do it? I mean, it's unbelievable. And so what if you have your own opinion about DEI? What is DEI? It's Democrat entitlement, insurrection. It's demoralization, envy, incompetence. You know, Scott Adams, we lost him a little bit. We lost him recently, a little bit ago. And he could talk about, he's about the same path as I was in my career. We can tell you about the Civil War, about the war on men that the Orwellians in their newspeak called a war on women. We can tell you about what DEI did to us, what it did to our sons, what it did to our friends growing up, you know? You can't just make stuff up, DEI, CRT, BLM, and not tell anybody what it means, where it comes from, and just destroy the country, and then turn around when it's all done, when the carnage is all over the place. The bodies are laying out, the lives have been ruined, careers have been ruined, families have been ruined, the world's been ruined, and then you come back and you go, you know what? Some men are women. Some men are women, so some of these absolute sicko clowns like Rachel Levine, so-called, they snap on a dress and high heels and go back to being an Admiral S, or whatever they would call him. Really? Thank God he put in Pete Hegseth and got rid of that stuff. DEI has to die. Oh, it has to. The war has gone on long enough. The war has gone on long enough. But so they get these people in. AOC, Kamala Harris, Hillary. They get in Obama, all of the Newsom, all these women get in, Schwalwell. All these women get in and start doing their thing. Pete Buttigieg. And you know, and then maybe what's that guy that looks like Igor Fetterman? I don't know. They're giving him a hard time. I think I saw him last night. He's had a tough time, but I mean, dude, he was sniveling about how men are abandoning the Femocrat Party like brave. I'm gonna say rats off a ship, but brave men off of a sinking ship. Of a ship that's determined to take them down, a ship of state that's determined to go under. So Trump did something really, really smart. Well, he did a lot of things smart last night. He said, hey, stand up for this. And then he finally said, stand up if you care more about Americans than illegal aliens. And all those people that swore an oath to do just that remain seated. So there's a saying, he who stands for nothing will fall for anything. And they stand for nothing. I think they stood up once or twice. I couldn't figure out the algorithm. But I don't know if George Soros is texting them. Some of them are looking at their phones. Some of them are looking at each other. One of these awfuls. You know what an awful is? I've used the term before. It's awful, A-W-F-U-L. Affluent, white, female, urban or urbane, or useless, or useful idiot. Leftist. It's not liberal. It could be ladies if you want. But awfuls. So there's an awful, affluent, white, female, urbane, leftist. Because even if they live in God's country, outside of the cities, these horrible cities, they somehow seem to have adopted that. They probably got it at the seminary called college. And so she's patting poor baby Ilhan's arm. So what are we doing? Why do the Republicans and Trump, why is he not directing Cash and Pam to go after these people? That's another topic for another time. I think somebody got to him. I think the dark, deep state got to him and said, you know what, we missed you there in Butler, but we won't miss again. And it'll be one of your kids or something. That's the only thing I can come up with, because it's his last term. And I can't come up with anything except JFK, MLK, RFK type stuff. But there's RFK Jr. sitting next to Tulsi Gabbard, a couple of Democrats who said, I'm an American, not a Democrat. And that don't mean anything to them either. Nothing means anything to them. How? Same as the last State of the Union. How could you not? And same as the first term, when Pelosi tore up, which is a crime, tore up the State of the Union address just to show the whole world who's boss over here. You know? It's like the wisdom literature says your women and your children will rule over you. They'll be your oppressors. And these are actually both. These are children women. They want to infantilize everybody. The hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. Yeah, I guess so. They started the war on men about a century ago, and they've been pushing it hard. They're destroying civilization. So how is it that Ilhan Omar is sitting there? She's not only a criminal in terms of her getting here, but she ran a crime syndicate like Biden's and the Clintons and the Obamas and she's just sitting there. It's not only sitting there hiding, like trying to get behind Tariq Aziz, or they're both trying to get behind the awfuls sitting next to him, or maybe behind Nadler, could hide him a little better. They're not doing that. They're standing up. They're screaming. They're screaming at the President of the United States. The President of the United States, you know? I remember when SCOTUS was sitting there and Alito shook his head, just shook his head because Obama, blah, blah, was up there lying about them. And it was a big thing. How could he dare? How dare he? Now, nothing that they do on the left, our enemies, nothing that they do ever gets called to account. And so, what are those sayings? He threatens the innocent who spares the guilty. And another, I think there's a Hebrew proverb that says, to be kind to the cruel is to be cruel to the kind. So they have these women stand up whose daughter was murdered brutally. He does that Trump does that all the time. Why not? He has them there in the audience and he points to them. I think Reagan started that. He has them in the audience and he points to them and everybody stands up and claps. Well, not everybody. He who stands for nothing will fall for anything. They stand for nothing. They'll fall for men can get pregnant, or men should be competing against girls. and then they'll call you a science denier. They'll fall for, a baby's not a human until we say so. But they won't fall for anything. So he brilliantly. They don't even stand for these angel moms, so-called. They don't stand up for a little girl that was hit by a migrant. It's like, what? Can't you make a choice between those two things? Can't you make a choice? And one step removed, can't you make a choice between candidates when you have those kind? How much more could they signal you of what's wrong with them? How much more? He says, stand up if you. Yeah, some of you may have been in a church service where it says, stand up if you love God or you love the Lord or something, and it's teenagers or whatever, and they're kind of within their own rights. They don't like being manipulated, but it's a good thing. The good book says, choose you this day whom you're going to serve. Cross this line. Come on over here or stay over there. And I got to tell you, if the electorate doesn't get rid of these people, I can't tell you why the DHS, what's her name was there, the one from Kristi Noem, North Dakota, I think, South Dakota, whatever. We don't need both states anyway. That's stupid. Just now that we got Greenland, let's just put those together. Or the Carolinas. I mean, how dumb is that? She's there. I mean, why are we arresting? Why am I seeing commercials that say if you're here illegally? But these people aren't being arrested for nothing. For nothing. Even treason. Well, I guess if the last president was a complete traitor, guilty of treason, and says, but if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. I don't know if you know this about Delaware, but they say things like ain't and y'all, especially old white guys, they say that. They on their way out of the black church that they went to after they went to Catholic church and the temple, shul, and the Greek Orthodox Church, Bidenopolis, that's what they wanted to call him. We should have called him Pinocchio, but really, the great Satan. I mean, somebody that lies that badly. But anyway, so why ain't Trump telling these people to do their job? One of the big things, the thing that bugs Scott Adams is he says, hey, I thought immigration enforcement, ICE, immigration crime enforcement, is that what it is? I think a nice name. Why don't they, get the worst first? The worst are George Soros, Ilhan Omar, Gavin Newsom, Tampon Tim, Fry. Those are the worst. These teachers that are sending their kids out to protest ICE instead of being in school, or they're not learning anything valuable anyway. I guess maybe that's the thing. But why aren't those teachers there? How come this chickie poo at the Grammys who has a $14 million house in Malibu and says we're on stolen land? How come she isn't out there trying to fight with the police, interfering with arrest? Okay. So, if you don't think that DEI ruined a great part of our decades and maybe a whole generation, then you're really not qualified. And that's the whole problem. That's the whole problem with everything. See, there's unqualified, there's disqualified, and then there's both. So it applies to, you can start with Hilary Rotten Klingon. Unqualified, disqualified because of her criminal record and her complete lack of integrity. And then there's unqualified. No way that they're capable of doing that job. They're capable of doing the job of destruction, destroy everything immediately. Maybe that's DEI. They're capable of that, but they're not capable of defending and protecting the Constitution, defending the faith as it was once delivered to the saints. They're not capable of that. And so Now comes the voters that put him in. There's unqualified, there's disqualified. I'm not talking about legal aliens or not. I'm talking about people who do not know. What did that prophet say? These people who don't know the law are a curse. They don't understand. I mean, this is what democracy is. This is what democracy is. You're seeing it. You're seeing it take place. The founding fathers studied democracy. I don't hate people. My mom and dad were Democrats. I don't hate them the way they hate America. They just don't know. They don't know enough. Like I think Reagan said that. It's not that our friends, our liberal friends, I think, and they were liberals then, they weren't leftists. It's not that they don't know, that they're ignorant. It's that the things that they know aren't true. And then we're back to that root truth again. It's the things they know aren't so. So he said, I didn't leave the Democrat Party. He was a Democrat most of his life, very liberal. He said, I didn't leave the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party left me. So said RFK Jr., so said Tulsi Gabbard, so said John Fetterman if he had a more cognitive moment. Okay, so you men that are sitting there because the women, the awfuls sitting next to you in Congress, you can't stand up and you can't walk out. Walk out. Walk out. Why do you want to hear this terrible, terrible president that you hate, representing a country that you hate? Just leave, but kind of leave for good. Just leave for good, all right? That little bumper sticker from the 70s, True America, love it or leave it. It's really that simple. Choose you this day whom you will serve. The Democrats, the Femocrats, they killed my country. Just like Inigo Montoya said, you killed my country. Now, I hope and pray that America, like Leslie, is just mostly dead. And Trump's doing CPR. And, whatever you feel this time of the month about all of that, it doesn't change the facts. Listen to Margaret Thatcher. She's a woman. Okay? All right. Anyway, next time, we'll talk to you next time. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Adios. Vaya con Dios. Wie geht's es Ihnen? Do svidania. Au revoir. Boom. Bro, what's the Italian? Anyway, we'll get that next time. Take care. Thank you for listening. Please send me your comments. We got a country to save. Let's get going. Please. Thank you.